Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of SuperFantaFi. This being a show where we talk about TV shows of the supernatural, fantasy, and or science fictional genre. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Motherland, Fort Salem. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. Well, first and foremost, let's pick up with everything with Alder. She's in Spain and she goes after a guy. I was like, okay, either he's going to be the guy that I doubt he's going to end up being the steward of a piece of the song. I was like, he's most likely going to be kind of like that singer you stole a piece or something like that. And the fact is, he had a knife ready the moment he saw Alder. But then we see that, oh, cool, he has a picture with Albin Hurst, and you're like, okay, so what's up with that? Turns out this guy was Camarilla. He was kind of almost like a collector, almost like a historian for the Camarilla. And he talks about the fact is that he left his past behind. He just wants to live a simple life. And I guess he prepared himself because he knew exactly who Alder was. And he thought, right, she wants to wipe out the Camarilla. Obviously, with everything the Camarilla is doing right now, of course they're going to come after me. And maybe that, because he could have acted sooner, but he didn't. And he also didn't call for backup. But I guess he figured any wrong move would be the end for him. But we found out that he was Albin's teacher. Like, the fact is, he's like the cutting out the vocal cords of witches is a tradition and keeping them almost like a prize. But he passed that on to his students, and one in particular was really fascinated by all of that. So he's the one that kind of fed the mad scientist that is Albin. Not saying he's the one that created it, but he kind of helped fuel the monster that Albin became. And so it's like, right, you're kind of the reason why he is where he is right now and all that he's kind of done. But basically, Alder came to him because he has all this information, so at the very least he could tell her about the other pieces to the song. Well, the two particular stewards she's trying to find, both are gone. One bloodline was completely wiped out before the song could be passed down. So there's that. And then another one, they were like kind of, I don't know if they were just necessarily, I don't know if because one was definitely wiped out before they could pass it on, and another was just kind of lost to time, or maybe what, it doesn't, because one was just straight up wiped out. So I don't know which one he had, like, the vocal cords for. It was something the Camarilla kept from when I think it's the one that was wiped out. I think that's that one, the one that's kind of lost to history. They don't know, because I was thinking, like, maybe that particular one is connected to someone present day and they just don't know it. But because I was like, but no, because like the bloodlines go way, 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 way back. So there's no way it could be like, because I was about to say, like, could it be a thing that it's like Tally or Rael's like bloodline or something like that? But I'm like, no, the bloodlines are very specific, you know? I was like, because I was about to say not less like the bloodline that kind of disappeared, like there was like a secret child or something, and then that ended up starting like a new bloodline, like I said, like the Cravens or so on and so forth, you know. So we'll see, but then Alder also saw a rope in the historian amongst his artifacts and stuff, and it's the rope that hung her sister, which she was like, no, this isn't the rope that killed my sister. She's like, I was there, I saw it, it was braided. So I don't know whether just seeing like that falsehood of just, I don't know whether it's like her, like the fact is he's claiming this great thing of like, oh yeah, this is the thing that killed Sarah Alder, her sister Abigail. Like, I don't know whether it's just seeing this fake rope paraded around, or at least maybe just that, because I don't know whether that's supposed to insinuate, because once again, we've seen like reenactment of it, but I don't remember. Like, did she destroy the rope or something? Is that, because like I didn't quite, I mean, understandable, it's like, right, the thing that murdered your sister, it's kind of on display for people to see. It's almost heralded like this special item. Like, obviously that's enough to piss her off, but when she was like, oh, that's not the real one, I saw it, it's braided, I wonder, did she destroy the original or something like that? That's why. But it's like, oh, you're still here claiming it, like it's still around, like it's something to be cherished and be held, like the camera, like, or is it because like the real one's still out there potentially, and it's like this one's a fake? So where's the real one? Someone else has it. I don't know. I mean, but then he tries to stab her because he figured he pissed her off. But he's like, please spare me. I'm not that person anymore. I've changed. And for her, it's like, I've changed too. And she killed him. Like, cut something into his chest and hung him up just like her sister, but also like fake, using the rope that was claimed to have hung her sister to hang him. Because I think it's like, regardless of anything, you still played your role in kind of making that monster Albin what he was to some extent. So it's like, you're not an innocent person. Like, you've definitely played your role in the Camarilla and stuff, so like you don't get away scot-free. So there's that element to it. There's also the situation back in a session. Anacostia left with Adil and Abigail to try and find the marshals, and obviously Thelma was like, yeah, don't use the term biddies around the other marshals, because like I brought up previously, they were insinuating that he's the marshal is the person that Sarah got the work she used to make the biddies. Like, that's where she got it from. But like, they don't like, because I guess like the biddies take pride in being biddies, like, because it's all the purpose of keeping Alder alive and be her power. Whereas, you know, I mean, even Sally was kind of happy to be in that position at one point in time herself. But like, the other marshals don't like that, because I guess they feel like that's kind of demeaning to who we are. I mean, because to be fair, their circumstances are way different. They're not like the same thing. It's not the same work as the biddies. Like, that was reworked in a very different way. Either way, they are connected. They went to go see one of the marshals. Sadly, he ended up getting killed the moment the army rolled in. It's some of those overseers and mainly like young cadets. None of them want to be there, but they have to follow orders. Petra's telling them like, go along with it, but try to pretend like you're going along with him. And Abigail has to step in when like the marshal gets killed, because, you know, Anacostia wanted to keep the bloodshed to a minimum. But it's also like, right, there are people being hurt, regardless of what my mom would want. Like, this is what I need to do. Like, that's also the thing, and she even says that line, like, a good soldier needs to know when to follow orders, but also when not to. Which, you know, Abigail's always kind of done that, but that is the interesting arc for Abigail, because all she ever wanted to do was be the perfect soldier, to be the bellwether. And I think for her, like, that isn't what it used to mean anymore. Being a bellwether for her is doing what's right. And, like, that army prestige doesn't hold the same meaning to her like it did in the beginning of the series. That's all that mattered to her, was, like, her family and legacy. But this is beyond that. This is a bigger cause. This is a bigger fight. This is the survival of everything and everyone. You know, so it's just interesting to just, and I think it just further show and proof of how much Abigail's grown. So her and the deal with that guy, but Abigail passes it on to all the cadets. Like, right, you're all bellwethers, like, units, like, make her proud. The fact of the matter is, there are going to be sacrifices that need to be made, and it's going to be a tough road ahead, but you need to do all that you can. Use every bit of work you've learned to help protect people, while also following orders to some extent, with the appearance of following orders. Like, we need to, like, help as many people, help protect the citizens of, like, the session, the innocents, more so. And it's like, that's what we, you know, as the part of the army, that's their job, that's their duty. And she kind of left them with that. And it's like, once again, just showing how much also Abigail has become a leader in her own right, kind of giving the inspiring speech like that. Either way, another angle to this is Tally making her way back, and the moment like that bird was like making the driver follow a certain path, I was like, oh, it has to be Nicta, right? But it's like, oh, it ends up being Scylla. But I guess it's like, right, she probably picked that up from Nicta, because that probably was like some spree work that she applied there. But either way, she was kind of sent on this mission, because it's like, right, this is, Rael will find us when she needs to. All we can do is have faith that Willa will kind of let her go, which we'll talk about later. and you need to be here now. Like, we need your help. And basically, she was gathering up the other Dodgers, the ones they were with earlier in the season, that they kind of that situation kind of played out the way it did. But Mac and the others are here to help out. The session has been good to them. It took them in, so it's like, right, we'll do whatever we can to help on this front. So, and I even love the conversation between Tally and Scylla, where it's like, right, could you ever imagine, like, when you found out about me being Spree, like, back in season 1, could you have even ever imagined we'd be where we are right now? Because I was, like, at the halfway point to this, probably, like, a little past the halfway point of season 1 when Tally found out the truth about Scylla. And it's like, if you had your foresight back then, like, could you have, and you saw us where we are now, would you have believed it? She's like, probably not, because I would have just assumed that the next time I saw you, you were going to kill me, or I was going to kill you. And it's like, yeah, it's funny how things like that work. But, for Scylla, it's like, right, you did what you did out of bravery, like your love for Rael, it came from a place of bravery and caring. And she's like, my love for Rael came from, like, manipulation and selfishness. But at the end of the day, it's like, no, like, regardless of how this all started, you do love her and you care for her. I feel like Tally kind of picked the worst time to kind of drop that, like, witch bomb Rael situation on her, but, But it's like, right, we're going to do whatever we can to avoid that future. Like, I've seen it. We'll get Rael back, and we'll find a way around whatever that is. Once again, Tally doesn't have full context for it either, so I still feel like there are extenuating circumstances to that. Also, with Thelma, like, going to tell the council about, her militia and everything. And the moment her cousin Millie was like, oh, you want some of these? I was like, don't eat them. Don't eat them. I was like, don't eat them. And luckily she didn't. I was like, you're going to be the only one who didn't. And then the rest of the council started passing out. I was like, I knew it. I said it. There was just something about her being so supportive of, like, the Bellwether unit, that I'm like, there's no way that she's like, because no one else on the council was that much on their side, and she made so much of a point to say she was. I think she was overcompensating. So it's like, right. And it's kind of what I thought. She thought she was going to get something. Well, her reasons aren't as selfless as I kind of thought they were. They kind of are, they kind of aren't. I thought, like, she was thinking, like, right, I'm going to do something better. It's for protecting the session. To some extent it was, but it was more so like, right, she brought up issues to the council multiple times about, like, her territory, them not being, getting, like, any of the mining, like, any benefits from, like, the mining and stuff like that. They kind of got cut, her territory kind of got cut out of a lot of that stuff. And it's a kind of, so it is kind of like it is a little bit of a power grab, but it's also like, right, when it's all said and done, they'll get the Bellwether unit and they'll leave. And then Thelma's like, are you crazy? Like, you really think they'll leave? She's like, I'm not really big into being colonized again. And she's like, Millie, have you learned nothing from history? You think they'll just come into the session and just leave? It's not, it's like, sadly, like, did you learn nothing from history? Like, and that's the sad thing, that why didn't it ever cross your mind to think? Because, I mean, to be fair, I guess, like, in her mind, the Camarilla, I mean, come on, also, like, some of your people died because of the Camarilla, but I guess it's kind of like, yeah, there's losses, in the end, it's all going to work out. She's like, yeah, the council members will just be put somewhere else, and she's kind of apologetic later on, but I'm like, people kind of died on you. One of the marshals is dead because of you, because you let the army in, because you brought down the barrier. So it's like, yeah, your selfishness screwed over a lot. Yeah, you might have had your issues, and they might have been justified for you, but it's still like, you screwed over a lot of people doing what you did. So, and I think later on she's like, right, just leave me, I'll be dead weight, I'll slow you down. But it's like, no, you're not just going to get off easily after screwing up this bad. You have to, like, make up for it. So, she didn't say that, but I'm insinuating that's kind of what that's going to be about. But Tally and the others, luckily, were able to save all the council members and get them out before the army arrives. Granted, Scylla had to kind of sacrifice herself, because for whatever, like, for her, it's like, whatever the cost, it's about protecting everyone, and also protecting Rael's friends, well, her also, like, her friends too, because even Abigail's like, yeah, you're kind of part of this unit now, so, But when it was all said and done, she gets captured. It's like, right, you don't have a council member, but you have quite the prize. I mean, she is a well-known spree, so it's kind of like, yeah, kind of benefits in the long run. But sadly, the place she's getting shipped off to, it's like, yeah, witches that go there, they say, like, it's supposed to be an interrogation, but it's more so a slaughterhouse. And she's like, right, I've been through an interrogation before. It's like, to be fair, it was Anacostia, and she kind of went a lot easier on you. She didn't probably go as rough. I mean, this is like people who are connected to the Camarilla, so they're probably going to go super hard in the paint about it. So, but luckily, Raes returned because her mom, because I was wondering, like, how much of it was her mom and how much was the mycelium, but it seems like it is straight up her mom letting her go. It's like, right, you could stay here with me and we could kind of continue going on the way we have, but for Raes, it's like, no, I need to go back. Like, everything and everyone's in trouble and I need to help, which her mother, like, immediately is like, right. She, listening to Ray's dad last episode, probably was like, no, like, he's right. Like, I want to keep you here. I want to protect you from everything. But at the end of the day, you do have your own life to live. But she says when the time comes, the mother will call upon you. It's like, what does that mean, Mom? Once again, I think the witch bomb has to be it. Maybe it goes beyond what the mycelium was expecting it to be. But I was wondering whether or not that'd have left Rael and then, like, eventually comes back to her. But it's like, no, it seems like it's still there. It's just that the mycelium was like, yeah, if you die, like, I won't be able to resurrect you again. Because I guess it's like, what the state that the mycelium is in, she still needs time to recover. Or maybe it's more so a situation of kind of severing that, like, yeah, you still have the power of the witch bomb, but I wonder, she probably won't have that by the end of this series. Like, whatever ends up happening, whatever connection she has to the mycelium that created the witch bomb in her will probably, like, burn up by the end of this series, and she'll just go back to being, like, a regular witch, maybe. That's kind of what I'm assuming, or maybe that will always be a part of her. Either way, that's definitely going to be interesting, but I do love that she made her entrance the way she did. Once again, that power, that mycelium, whether it's how Alder used it, like the episode before last, or even how Ray, once again, the witch bomb just naturally disintegrating people and things, and her making her a reappearance like that. Sadly, Scylla's been waiting so long for, and just when Rael returns, Scylla's gone. You have Abigail joining Thelma, but she's like, whoa, I thought you were part of the army. She's like, not anymore, because she can't be bound by, like, the rules of the army. Like, she needs to kind of go her own way, especially with so many people. Like, this is her kind of having to make a choice with everything that's going on. So her and Adil join the militia to help out in that regard. But obviously happy to have Rael back, and her hugging her and saying, like, oh, took you long enough, Shipford. I'm like, dude, like, Rael hasn't been going, well, she's been going a while. Like, hasn't she been going, like, since, like, the second or third episode of the season? So she's been in a mycelium ever since. But there's a part of me that's just almost like, it's beautiful. It's just like, just seeing how much they've grown, how much, like, once again, just seeing that dynamic and just thinking about, yeah, like, how they started off and where they are. It makes you feel a little nostalgic about, like, the beef that they used to have. But now it's just like, yeah, we're here, but it's like, right, Scylla will get her back no matter what it takes, because it's like, she's part of this unit now, but also, like, on top of that, she's someone important to you, like, so of course we got you back, so of course we're all getting out of this alive, we're all getting together. And obviously Tally ends up talking about what she saw to Alder, and now it's a situation of, so Alder is in the dark about it. To be fair, she does what the mycelium, the mother, asked her to do, but even then, it's like, she's not well-versed in all the plans. It's just like, right, we have to have faith in her. It's like, once again, I still believe the witch bomb isn't, I mean, not unless that's something like Albin and them, like, ends up triggering, like, thinking he's going to destroy Rael, when in fact she kind of ends up destroying the world. Or maybe the point was that, I mean, they needed a witch bomb because that's what happened with the White House and everything, right? So to kind of fit that narrative even more, they want to set her off. But the problem is, setting her off has more consequence than they were kind of initially believing it to. I don't know, maybe there's some correlation connection with like Penelope's circumstances too as the plague, like maybe the witch plague, like maybe there's some correlation there in some regard of like maybe, well, because obviously like Albin and Silver have no idea about her. That's still kind of Isadora's like little kept secret amongst, well, a few people are aware of Penelope's circumstances. Either way, because Santos had given her an idea being like, oh, you'll just have to time travel. Unless you could go back in time. I was like, are we going to add time travel to this? And it's like, well, pseudo we will, but we kind of already have to some extent already. And it seems like it's going to be through Tally that it's like, right, I'm not going to need your sight to see far into the future. I'm going to need your sight to see into the past. Which is like, she already kind of did because of the whole Nycta situation. But now it's like, oh, like you're purposely going to go probably like super far back. Because that wasn't that long ago. The whole Nycta stuff and Alder wasn't that long ago. This stuff with looking into like the final piece to the song. Once again, because you still have, well, I think that's the vocal cords of the person who had the song, not necessarily the person who had. I don't know if that equates to like, right, this is that person's vocal cords. So I don't know if that's necessarily the same. You have their vocal cords, but you don't have the actual piece of the song. You just have their vocal cords. Not unless that is the song that they're playing, but I don't think it is, like in the box. So maybe it's about both pieces, or maybe it is just the final piece. I'm not quite, I don't think I quite clicked that explanation of whether that the vocal cords in the box, is that enough to kind of be like, okay, so we have the fifth piece of the song, now we just need the sixth piece, and that's where Tally comes in? Or is it correlated with like, yes, this person's vocal cords are here, but we still don't know the actual song itself. There's no one who could get this song could get passed down to, so we have to use this vocal cord as a foundation for Tally to look back on that person's life, hear the song as she learns the song, and kind of ends up inadvertently becoming the steward to one of the pieces. Maybe that's what that kind of ends up being. Because once again, the idea is that by using the witch bomb could be stopped by the first song, because it's the one thing that's powerful enough to stop this. I said it before and I'll say it again, that we still don't have full context for everything and everyone that was there with Rael when Tally had her vision. So we'll ultimately have to wait and see where all that ends up taking us going forward into the next episode. And then finally, there's the whole situation with Anacostia. She ends up tracking down Nycta. Probably going to need her help to find President Wade, because she needs to be put back in power immediately, because she's the only one that's in a powerful enough position to kind of... Because I guess the Marshal's keeping her super, super hidden, because if, like, anything... I mean... If any word got out that she's still alive, they'll kill her before she even has an opportunity to step back into power. She also probably has to be careful about it, because they could probably write that off as anything like, oh, this might be witch trickery or something. Like, they'll be able to spin that narrative to be whatever they need it to be. So that's probably also where it's like, right, we need to be careful about how we're approaching this situation. So that's why they're still playing, like, why the Marshal and Wade have stayed hidden. Well, we also know, well, because that one of the Marshals died, the Marshal himself probably also felt that too. So that probably might keep him even more on high alert. Probably hear whispers about the army entering the session and stuff like that. So that's probably even more reason for them to stay underground. But it's definitely going to be interesting to see where all that goes, because I mean, all the forces are gathering. Once again, Anacostia getting Nycta, which I guess she's kind of rallied up some last remaining remnants of the spree. I mean, the spree's kind of taking a backseat because of the Camarilla, but there's probably like a lot more. I mean, they're also like delegated into different cells and stuff, so it could be that like there's probably still quite a few out there, but it's like, right, all witches need to come together against the Camarilla. It's no longer like the spree aren't the issue that they once were. So a brave new world's going to be made in the aftermath of all of this, and I think it's going to change how the army and the spree and just everything that that is will change going forward. But they got to get through all of this first and foremost. So we'll ultimately have to wait and see where the next episode takes us with all of this. But really, that's all I'm going to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and goodbye.